Guys, I'm getting straight into it today. Kansas State, Colorado, K-State with a big win over Deion Sanders and the Buffaloes. I'm going to give you my takeaways on the game, some thoughts, some rapid recap stuff, so on and so forth. As we get set to take on West Virginia next week, I'll talk a little bit about that in this video. If this is your first time watching or your 100th, be sure and consider hitting that subscribe button. It does help me out immensely. As we continue to grow this channel and find more and more K-State fans like yourself and like myself, it helps out a lot, and I do appreciate you guys for being here. But let me jump right away. There's a lot of things you could react to from this football game. Obviously, there's off-the-field storylines. Obviously, there's things with Colorado's hype. Obviously, there's things with Avery Johnson, Dylan Edwards, DJ Giddens. There's 1,000 different things I could throw at you. The first thing that should come to your mind as a college football fan, maybe the second. I'll give you a 1A, 1B situation. The first thing that you should think when you see this football game is Avery Johnson took that step. That was a moment. That was a national moment in front of everyone in the country. I know there's the narrative to say that, hey, those games that kick off at 9:15 or 10:15, wherever you live at, 8:15 in certain places. I know there's a narrative to say that half the country's asleep. Yeah, sure, that's fine and dandy. I can't wait to see what the numbers look like on that game because 1, you get the Coach Prime hype. 2, you get a damn good football game. 3, you get Avery Johnson, Kansas State, one of the most passionate fan bases in college football. I can't wait to see what those numbers look like. But Avery Johnson, DJ Giddens shined on the national level in front of everybody. Everybody and their brother picked up on this and said, dang, why couldn't Colorado stop these guys? Why couldn't this happen? Why couldn't this happen? This happened, this happened, this happened. It was such an incredible thing to see, and everybody and their brother talked about this football game. On social media, if you checked it out, you saw clips, you saw highlights, you saw trash talk, back and forth. It was an awesome spectacle to see, regardless of which side you're on. Obviously, if you're a Colorado fan, you're probably a little bit hurt about the outcome, but for us, we're talking about the Cats. It's a blessing to be here. It's a blessing to have you guys here. My first takeaway here is Avery Johnson had his moment. That was what you needed to see out of him. Could he be the guy when it's all or nothing, you need a drive here, you got to go execute. You got punched in the mouth, how do you respond to that? We've seen Avery against BYU, that wasn't a great outing. Obviously, he had his hiccups, he took some learning lessons there, moved on and developed from it, 5 touchdowns against Oklahoma State. Now, obviously, Oklahoma State's trash. I don't think anyone's disputing that. But I truly was a little bit nervous for the environment. Like, maybe it's me becoming more of a paranoid fan than it is in the past, but I feel like college football fans have more influence on the outcomes of games than they ever have, for the last 20 years that I can think of. It feels like fans are more energized, more packed out, more loud, angry, whatever the case is. And it all can be traced back to sports betting. You get more people interested in college football, more people interested in, overnight tennis in China. You can get anything possible. If there's an audience for it, people will watch tenfold. That's the way that sports betting has changed college football. It's the way it's changed everything right now. So understandably, I was pretty nervous about having a young quarterback hit on the road, 9:15 p.m., bright lights, everybody and their brother watching this football game. But Avery Johnson's Avery Johnson. There is no questions about this kid. This dude is legit. We've known that. You've seen some of the vocal outbursts on social media, people being like, well, this offense can't do this and that, and Avery struggles with this, and this happens. When you needed him most, he stepped up and was that guy. And you gotta love that. Coming back from injury, overcoming adversity, there was a lot of great things that Avery put on tape this week, and the nation noticed. It did. Now you head into West Virginia, a team that is up and down. I know there's been a lot of backlash on social media for Neil Brown and his program, but they're still right in the thick of it. They're 2-1, same conference record as Kansas State, same conference record as Colorado. They're right in the thick of it. This is still another test. It can't be your letdown game. So with that, Avery and the boys are going to have to rise to the occasion again, and I fully expect them to do that. My second takeaway, and this is where I say it could be 1A, 1B. DJ Giddens is a top 2 running back in the country. Think about that. Ashton Jeanty, no one's going to disagree. That's the Heisman favorite right now. I think he should win the Heisman. There is the argument people say, well, he's playing worse competition. The dude still did that against Oregon. I will take Ashton Jeanty as the best player in college football, or damn near that with Travis Hunter. As it sits right now, DJ Giddens, one of the quietest dudes in college football, an underranked, under-recruited, disrespected kid at every single rankings list of all time. Hell, you got the Big 12 admin deleting a post that says, Big 12 fans, make room for DJ Giddens, like he didn't rush for 1,283 yards last year. The nation is changing their view on DJ Giddens. They're starting to say, hey, this kid's draft stock's rising. You started the season, you probably get DJ as a late draft pick. I would almost consider this kid as a top 3-round draft pick right now, top 4-round draft pick. His size, his ability, his shiftiness, and folks, he's on pace for 1,700 rushing yards. That's incredible. I heard someone on social media this week say that DJ Giddens might be better than Deuce. Hot take, I admit it. But the fact that my immediate response wasn't no way, you're crazy, tells you how good DJ Giddens is. Now, it's not a comparison game. Not trying to say that, but it's the fact that DJ, every single week, doesn't matter the situation, doesn't matter the team, doesn't matter the competition, he is going to get you what you need. Hey, DJ, it's 2nd and 8 here. We had a short completion on first down, incomplete pass, 2nd and 10. Don't worry, I'll rush for 14 yards here. No big deal. It's a huge test of the offensive lineman, but shoot, you had Deuce Vaughn tweeting about him. You had Skip Bayless tweeting about him. I don't really like Skip's take, but you get the idea. National pundits everywhere talking about Kansas State's DJ Giddens, a kid from Junction City High School, under-recruited, 0 stars, no Power 5 offers, goes to Kansas State, becomes a star. And that probably says more about the fact that those that weren't recruiting him were idiots, but it is what it is. DJ Giddens is a star. He's the best running back in the Big 12. He's a top 3 running back in college football. And I could continue to talk about him. At this point, every single week, I've said something like this. DJ Giddens is a star. DJ Giddens is an NFL running back. DJ Giddens is the best player in whatever the case is. These aren't changing anytime soon. Every week we get better and better at a DJ. His consistency, his ability, and the guy you got to give hats off to besides DJ, because DJ deserves all the love. There's a couple of people that are involved in DJ's development. Don't get me wrong on that. It takes a village to get these guys where they need to go. The dude that doesn't get nearly enough credit for this, because Deuce Vaughn gets his flowers when he's up there and he learns and he talks with DJ, he learns different things, he watches the tape. Kansas State running back coach Brian Anderson, you're the real deal. Hats off, Coach Anderson. Thank you for your hard work. We are so blessed to have you at Kansas State. You're turning this program into running back university. You really are. You're bringing some studs in every single year and developing these guys. It doesn't matter if they're 2-star kids, 3-star kids, undersized, too slow, too this, too that. They learn what it is to be big-time college football players at Kansas State and go and have NFL careers. That's the legacy you're leaving behind already, and it is such a blessing to see you out there doing your thing. Now, I could keep talking about the running back position. I could keep talking about Dylan Edwards. Huge job getting a win against his former team, getting into the end zone. Hats off to everyone on Kleiman's staff for really getting that effort. Hey, we got to get Dylan in this end zone. This is going to be a huge thing for our football team and for Dylan's confidence and all the stuff he's done there. So shout out to Dylan Edwards. But let's talk about the wide receiver room, because this has maybe been the one thing that people could point at and say, this needs to get better every single season at Kansas State. For one reason or another, Kansas State's receivers we have struggled to recruit the right guys I shouldn't say the right guys. There's been program building guys that are good people that help the program. We haven't had many elite receivers in terms of college football numbers. You've got one. You have a bona fide star in Jace Brown. And there's a lot of conversation on Twitter, on social media saying, why can't we build the receiving core for Avery what it needs to be? We need to get 3-4 guys that can get open constantly. I know there's been lapses for a guy like Keegan Johnson. I know there's been lapses for different guys on the field. Jace Brown, I will take a dominant wide receiver 1 right now for the next foreseeable future as we continue to recruit these things. Give me a superstar at the wide receiver position. You found one. A kid with very, very little Power 5 offers. A kid that could have gone to play for the smallest college in the state of Florida. Jace Brown's playing Power 5 football, carving up dudes in the secondary that are being coached by Deion Sanders, and putting film on tape every single week to say, I am an NFL receiver. And then after the game, you got him tagging Shiloh Sanders on social media, trash talking him. This dude is a wide receiver 1. Think about the tweet. The enemy speaks softly and carries the knife. Whatever the case is, wide receiver traits run through this kid. He's ready to go, and he's a superstar. Avery Johnson's going to get better receivers around him every single year. And this isn't a thing to say Keegan Johnson won't contribute or Dante Cephas won't contribute or Trey Spivey. I'm not saying any of that. But every single time you see big flash plays like this to Jace, other receivers look at this. Other guys around the country say, you know what? This is legit. They look at it and they say, Kansas State, that kid's got a good arm. He can run a 4.3 and spread the ball out like that. I need to go to Kansas State. Whether we build to the portal or not, whether it's recruiting at the high school ranks or not, because we've got some superstar kids that committed this class specifically, you're going to see that passing attack continue to improve, and Jace Brown deserves his flowers. Let's not get that mixed up. He's an incredible receiver, one of the best in the Big 12 Conference already, and he's got more years ahead of him to develop and learn. I truly think he's destined for superstardom. Had 6 catches, $120 on this, 2 big touchdowns for Kansas State, including the game winner from Avery Johnson. A beautiful throw, a beautiful catch. Those dudes have chemistry, and that cannot be overstated. Jace Brown, hats off to you, brother. Appreciate your big moment. This was a great week for you. One dude whose stock is rising. There's a lot of people I could point at and say, this dude's a stud, this dude's a stud. One dude whose stock is rising at a rapid rate, a lot of R's in that sentence. How about our guy Brendan Mott leading the Big 12 in sacks? Sacked Shedeur twice, hit the Shedeur Sanders, throw up the wrist flex celebration. The dude is just a savage. He's getting out there, he's making plays. And I'll be the first guy to admit it, I wasn't high enough on Brendan Mott this offseason. There was so much hype with guys behind him, with Tobias Insomni, with guys like Ryan Davis, who also had a sack, shout out Ryan Davis, with guys like Jordan Allen, Chidi Obiizer, that sometimes these veteran guys, Cody Stuffleby and Brendan Mott, slipped through the cracks. And neither of them took it disrespectfully. From what I understand, they both said, you know what, we are working our tails off and we're helping these young guys get there. Brendan Mott didn't let anybody take his job. He's saying, you know what, I'm getting after the passer, and this is the football he's capable of. Think about that. 6 sacks, you're leading the Big 12 Conference through 6 games, or 7 games, excuse me. This is a big deal for Brendan Mott, and his stock is continuing to rise. I would love to see him lead the Big 12 in sacks this season, and he continues to get better. So he's a huge add to bring back for the 6th season, as well as some of the other guys on defense. But overall, when you want to talk about takeaways about this game, you can talk about the rushing attack being dominant. No one doubted that. You can talk about the wide receivers showing up. No one doubted that. DJ Giddens, Jace Brown, first 100-yard receiver and running back that Colorado has allowed this season, both happened in the same game. Shout out to Connor Riley for dialing that up. He did a good job and called a good game. Avery Johnson bouncing back from injury, a huge thing. Kind of a weird flukish injury, seems to be good to go. Don't really think that's an issue. It sounded like Chris Kleiman said everybody's healthy. They should be good to go this week. We'll get a better update on that Wednesday or Thursday, I think. But one takeaway you got to appreciate from this, first of all, hats off to Wildcat and NIL. Shout out to the K-State Beef, or the Kansas State Beef. This is why you have a veteran quarterback. He does not have to be your day one starter to change the program. Shout out to Taquan Roberson, coming into the game and making plays, continuing the drive. Avery goes out, hey, big first down, new quarterback, fire him up. Avery's in the locker room, we need somebody else to complete this drive. Goes out there, converts a huge third down to Jace Brown, a beautiful ball where you have to be on the same page. And Taquan has 3 throws under his belt this season, goes out there and makes the play. As a veteran quarterback, a veteran leader, he keeps the confidence high. And you got to love that, what you're seeing from Taquan Roberson. Shout out to our guy, Taquan, man. That's a huge moment. And shout out to the staff, man. You know, you had to identify which veteran quarterback was going to come in to help out with Avery. There were conversations about Timmy McClain from UCF. There were conversations about different quarterbacks around the nation. Just someone reliable to have that has college football experience. Give me a guy with 4,500 passing yards in his career at UConn. That dude's a veteran, Taquan Roberson, with a massive statement, and that cannot be overlooked. It can't be. It was an absolute incredible, flawless execution once he hit the game. So shout out to Taquan. He's a big part of this win and should not be overstated. Other than that, folks, you're finding yourself in the race for the Big 12 title. I'm not going to sit here and say we didn't see it coming, because I think a lot of people predicted this outcome. Did they predict a loss to BYU? No. Some would predict a loss to a loss to Oklahoma State, or whatever the case is. But through these amount of games, you're sitting there 5-1 overall. You got a 2-1 record in conference play. This is a great start for Chris Kleiman and the boys. They need to continue to show up in big moments. There can't be these lapses where, hey, you know what? Huge win. We got Kansas the week after West Virginia. Let's just pump the brakes and start slow. West Virginia is not the best football team in the Big 12, but they've got some really, really good players that you have to account for. Garrett Green can beat anybody. I'm not going to dispute that. I think he's a really good quarterback. I know they have some pieces on that defense that are really studs, are really, really good too. And this game's in Morgantown. I know the fan support might be, suspect a little bit after the last couple of weeks. I think it'll still be packed. It's Morgantown. It's West Virginia football. People will come back around for this team, but you got to be ready for the attack. You got to be ready for the moment. And it's going to come down to another good week of preparation. Being ready for this is going to be a big deal for Avery Johnson. As the Cats continue to ride, you've got the path ahead of you. K-State's next couple of weeks, let me pull up their schedule. I should know it off the top of my head. I know we have West Virginia this week. I know we've got Kansas the week after. And then it's going to be some combination of a few others, but let me pull this up real quick. You got West Virginia this Saturday. You got Kansas in the Sunflower Showdown in Manhattan. Follow that up with Houston, new quarterback under center. That's a different game than it was at the start of the season, though I do think the team is definitely struggling. Arizona State, they look like a bowl team. They're a good football team. They upset Utah. Cincinnati, Brendan Sorsby, one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the Big 12. And then close out with number 9, Iowa State. That game in Ames is going to decide the season, but the difference is, if you drop any of these, that game at Ames is discredited, because you need to win these football games. You need to be those favorites. You need to step up in the big moments, handle business on the road, get back home, get ready for a big matchup with Kansas. But guys, that's going to do it for today's video. Thank you all for all the support on these videos. My fault on not getting this out a little bit sooner. I was a little lazy on this one. But I'm looking forward to talking some more ball about the Cats. Look out for a couple more basketball videos this week, as well as some football stuff tied in. I will talk to you guys here soon. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Go Cats!